Have you ever wondered if it's really possible to enjoy the holidays without all of the stress and pressure? If you are nodding along with me like I am right now, you're in the right place because today I'm joined by a very special guest, my friend Yamel Belen, who is a certified doula, motherhood coach, and she is the host of her own podcast, the Motherhood Kit podcast. And she, just like me, she's passionate about helping moms navigate life with confidence and grace. So together today, we are diving into talking about how to set boundaries, graceful boundaries, and create a holiday season that feels joyful and not overwhelming. So, friend, get ready because we're talking about saying no without guilt, letting go of the pressure to do it all, and focusing on what truly matters this holiday season. Trust me, you don't want to miss this episode. Hello, Yamel. Welcome back to Radiant Womanhood. I'm so excited that you're here with me today.
I am thrilled to be here.
I know that you've been here on Radiant Womanhood podcast before. You have an amazing podcast, The Motherhood Kit, and we've worked together on multiple things, but it doesn't mean that all of our Radiant Womanhood listeners know all about you. Would you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thanks. Well, I'm Yamel, and first and foremost, I am a mom of five, and I do quite a few things, which is very funny, but everything leading or around the world of motherhood. So I founded a doula organization over a decade ago, and we serve people in the pregnancy, labor, birth, and postpartum space. And then the sister company to that organization is a nanny organization. So we're just helping people get through motherhood for sure. I am a registered nurse as well as an IBCLC, which is a lactation consultant. And I just love to help moms and to help parents just thrive.
I love it. And you are such the perfect person to do that because you are successfully raising babies and businesses, both, and you're doing both so well. And it just seems like with such grace. I know in motherhood, we go through so many different things, but I love watching your kids grow. You were just mentioning this earlier. You have a couple of them that are like out of college, in college, at home. And so you've been in it for like all the seasons.
Yeah, thank you. I always tell people I have over 26 years of parenting experience. I feel like that's what led me to launch the Motherhood Kit because I really felt ready to be able to provide advice. I don't think
Mm.
before that I felt that equipped. So I'm like, okay, I've lived through a few things now. I can definitely talk about it, but definitely my favorite topic. I love to be able to hold hands with other moms. I think we're all in different seasons, but it's definitely a beautiful thing while also making sure to nurture myself, which is something that I love that you talk about here, how to make sure to, for people to stay encouraged to do what they
Mhm.
want.
Yes, and all of those seasons and all of those like phases of life that we go through. But I think it's really beautiful that you're using that wisdom and that knowledge to kind of, just like you said, hold hands. I think as women, we really need that sometimes. It's just someone to say, this is normal, or what you're walking through is okay, or you're going to get through it, or here, let's focus on this for a moment as well. And so, like you said, that we love talking about that here, just being that voice of encouragement to say that, like, what is it that you love? What lights you up? Let's talk about that. Let's go after that. Well, also, being okay with whatever season and stage you're in this multi-passionate life, because I think especially as women for one, and then also raising kids like you, we have a big family as well. And so it feels like there's so many things to be passionate about, so many
Mhm.
things to focus on. And sometimes it feels like, okay, there's like, I'm just grabbing because this and this and this. And there's just this flow to it. And just to be there for each other and encourage each other, like,
For
keep
sure.
swimming. Let's go
Yeah,
through the flow.
sure. That's the goal.
Well, today we're really heading into all of this holiday season and
Whoa.
like we're in it. We are in it. And for me, I really am wanting to focus this year on taking in this next season with peace because I feel like a lot of times we can allow outside pressures to set up expectations for us, what I need to do, what I
Mhm.
should be doing. I just had an episode on that, on really changing that vocabulary that we use and saying, I need to, or I should, or I have to, and how it changes our mindset completely. So, anyways, that's a whole other episode, but we'll just go ahead and link that in the show notes because I think it's important to listen to. But kind of moving into, okay, what do I want to have for the season or expect? And I know that you walked through many holiday seasons with lots of kids.
Yes.
And so I'm excited about bringing you on in this episode and just hearing your wisdom and like, how do you approach setting some realistic expectations for
Mhm.
yourself and your family or even the businesses that you have? And like, how do you navigate that, especially being able to say no without feeling guilty and some of
Oh,
those things that come up?
that is a big one. So I will preface with saying that saying no is hard for me. It's
Mhm.
very challenging as a doer, as a helper. I'm a natural helper, although my profession is in nursing. I'm a doula as well. I serve people, right? So I had to really learn how to say no. And the main way that I kind of conditioned myself to do that is by pausing. So even in business, I remember one coach that I had at one point, I came to her with this idea and I was like, oh my God, somebody approached me and they want to help the business in this way. And they want to collaborate in this way. And I'm all excited. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. What should I say? And she was like, first of all, take a deep breath. And it's okay to say, give me a minute. It's okay
Mhm.
to say, I'm thinking about it. And it's also okay to say no if it doesn't align with your goals, your boundaries, or what you have going on. And that I think applies in motherhood as well. I remember I would get so anxious if I could not meet someone's needs,
Mhm.
specifically like during the holidays, where it's like, oh, we're invited to this dinner and we're invited to this Friendsgiving and we're invited to, but I also still have a nursling. I
Mhm.
also need to worry about nap time. And I also want to focus on my home. How do I say no? And it was hard for me. So I see you if you are listening and you're like, wow, that's so hard for me because my mother-in-law wants me to be here at this time and my sister-in-law wants to eat, dessert by this time. It's a lot of
Yeah.
pressure. I will say I don't think that we need to be rude about it. I think we're getting boundaries confused
Agree.
with being rude and being kind of
Mm.
like dismissive of other people's feelings. Boundaries are there to protect your feelings and your well-being,
Yeah.
right? And they're there as a tool for communication. But we don't need to be like so dismissive, like my schedule is more important than yours, Tabitha.
Mm.
My Christmas morning is more important than yours. No, you can be kind about it and you don't have to overly explain because again, it's your
Right.
boundary, but I hope I answered your question.
I think that's a really, really good point, though. I mean, even in just, I think there's something to be said about setting boundaries, but it's with grace. The point isn't to build a wall,
Oh,
right? It's to ease into the season. And if it's not aligning with what your schedule can handle or your family schedule can handle, it's giving yourself permission that a no is okay, but
mhm.
absolutely with grace. I think
I was
moving over
getting to the
into
point
a side of selfishness isn't what it's about either.
no, I was getting to the point that I was really hating that word, boundary,
Yes.
because I
Yeah.
was witnessing so many people being rude to one another. And I
Mhm.
understand we're trying to protect ourselves. We have a lot going on. The holidays are very challenging for a lot of people, but they don't have to be. And if you
Right.
remind yourself, if you're getting all of these invites and everybody has something going on, that just shows the beauty of like just your circle.
Yes.
You kind of
Relationships,
yes,
community.
yes.
Absolutely.
So there are ways to navigate this, which I'm sure that Tabitha has some plans of what we're going to discuss today, but there are ways definitely to lean into this season, like Tabitha said, with some peace for sure.
I think even what you said too was just seeing the beauty in sometimes the things that we can feel overwhelmed in.
Yes.
Like, take a moment and see the beauty in that, and I think you've probably seen it too, the the memes or something that was going around that was like the season of life that I'm in was the thing that I had prayed for,
Yep.
and Chris and I were kind of talking about that just the other day. We were in the middle of, okay, so the past week was a little bit crazy. Like,
I
so
feel you.
just talking about our, you know, going into the holiday season and all that. So I'd been getting Christmas stuff out all over the house. I actually had a reel that just went viral because it was me sitting in front of the Christmas tree with just boxes and totes and Christmas stuff all over. And it was like when the motivation wears off and that it was just this. And
Yeah, you just stop. Yep.
so, yeah. And it's just because everyone's like, okay, this is me. Yeah, I'm right there right now. I feel it. And kind of the same thing happened. So I also was moving over to my kids' room and then I was like, oh, well, before we put more stuff in the room, I need to declutter a little bit. So started working on that. And then I was like, okay, well, now that we're taking something out, I'm realizing the wall needs to be patched and painted. So like started on like if you give a mouse a cookie. So it's
This
just
sounds like the mouse
this
house. Yep. Mhm.
just this thing that was happening. So in the middle of kind of that happening, so like the kids' room kind of threw up into the rest of the house, like we're moving a mattress out here and a bed out here so we can paint and fix this. And then there's Christmas stuff here. Our dishwasher stops working.
Oh, no.
So
That is
then
a
my husband starts
911
looking at that to
emergency
see
in
if,
this house.
yes, like can he work on it? Can he fix it? So then the sink is piling up. Like we're washing stuff to try to keep up, but it's just, I mean, with 6 kids, it just
Yeah.
explodes multiple times a day. So the sink is like exploding with dishes. Had someone come out and look at the dishwasher. I mean, I can make it a long story, but I'll try to narrow it down a little bit. But, just like all of this is happening, it ends up being so much less expensive to get a new dishwasher and donate
Yes.
ours to someone that can work on it and resell it themselves than to actually get ours fixed. So then my husband's installing a new dishwasher. My kids come home from school. We're just like, whoa, like there's a fan blowing in the room because I did get the painting done. All of this to say, like, all of this stuff was happening. And then Chris and I were just kind of talking, and it's like, I don't want to rush through the days because I want whatever we're in or walking in to be over.
Mhm.
Like recently, we had the hurricanes here. One of them, we had to evacuate. We went to go see our daughter, like all of these things were happening. And sometimes it can feel like a lot. And yet, I don't want to rush through whatever season we're in, even if it feels a little chaotic or crazy. We had some family over for dinner. Our kids are just running around. And I just had to take a moment. Like in that moment, I could have felt all the stress rise up because, okay, I need to clean up this. I need to take care of this. Let's hurry up and finish this. And it's this hurry up kind of thing to get
Mhm.
through it or to get past it. And then I realized, wait, I wanted kids to be running through here. I wanted that. Like, I love hearing that laughter and like the craziness and a little bit of the chaos of it. And just kind of took a moment to just take it in and watch for a minute. And it completely changed how I felt about like the whole scene unfolding in front of me. And it was
Yeah.
because realizing like, okay, it might be a little bit crazy or it might be that. And I think it just really kind of goes back to what you said about the beauty in even the things that can feel overwhelming if we allow it.
Yeah.
And it still can give us space and room to say no. We can say no gracefully for a schedule that works for our family or move things around differently, but also seeing the beauty even when it's like all these things are happening.
Yeah.
And then in the beauty and all of that chaotic moment of our house is I'm grateful that I had a husband that was able to help make this dishwasher thing like work out, and that we had a can of paint sitting in the garage that I was able to clean up the kids' walls and, and just all these things. Like, what is the beautiful side of like, let's look at the other side of that coin.
Yeah, I think oftentimes we miss that mark, and I don't want anyone to listen and think, well, it feels minimizing or that we're not seeing what they're going through, because I do know that
Mm,
everybody's experience is different. And there have been times like the joke in my house is how I like tidiness and orderly. So there aren't a lot of toys all around the house. That's just me. That's just how I cope. But that doesn't mean that the girls don't, like, the floor of their room right now is filled with dolls. And it is what it is. And the other day I started cleaning and then I was like, they're just going to come home and play. So I'm just going to leave that. So I'm learning how to cope with certain things that make me a little bit uncomfortable. Because like you said, there is beauty in that season that I think sometimes we are trying to like, let's hurry up. My husband asked me, oftentimes I am kind of tired after Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is probably my favorite holiday. And it's like a love and a hate, right? Because it takes so much preparation
Yeah.
and then it's done in like 20 minutes. Done.
Right.
So my husband says to me, "What do you think? Let's just do something different. Let's just order this year. Let's just order the food." I must have looked at him like he was crazy. I said, "What? Excuse me? What are you talking about?"
Mhm.
I said, "First of all, I need to talk to my children and
Mhm.
ask them what they want because at this stage in the game, it's about them, right? It's about like I love to see all of them around my table and our cute little tablescape and just talking and laughing and roasting each other and all this stuff. So, yes, I'm willing to go through the exhaustion of
Yeah.
starting the prep at 4 a.m. to have even those 20 minutes of just looking around
Mhm.
the table,
Mhm.
seeing all of their faces and being happy. And, one thing that I want to say to you that's listening and your baby is little, take it from me. And I know that this is cliche and I know that you hear it all the time. Time goes so fast.
Gosh,
My
right.
daughter is 26 and engaged, and she has her own career, which she's a teacher. So she gets after school, like she's tired. She doesn't want to come to my house and then listen to other kids. I mean, she loves her
Right.
sisters, younger sisters. But I get it. She's tired. So the joke here is always like, when are you moving back home? Come back
Mhm.
home. We miss you. I still miss all my kids in under one
Mm.
roof. So yes, I will say it does go by very fast. And I think rather than having these perfect holidays,
Mm.
we just need to focus on just memorable ones.
Yes, I
What it's
think that's
about.
so, so good. Well, I think I'm feeling a little bit of that this year as far as so my oldest daughter just left the house. So I'm a few years behind you in that stage. But this will be our first Thanksgiving without her around our table.
Oh my God, I'm going to
She
be
is
thinking about you.
yes,
When
she's in the
she, yeah,
military. I'm so grateful that she actually gets to come home for Christmas with us, but we don't get to see her for Thanksgiving. So that's
yeah,
okay, but it will
it's
be our first without her around the table, and it just reminds you of that, of those what like, gosh, the ones when we were holding her as a baby or, just all of these different stages, and just like you said, it's cliche, but it still goes by, and really just kind of rolling with each season that we're in is so important and being present in those ones, even when it's crazy or chaotic or yes, the prep is hours long, but the food goes by in, in 20
oh,
minutes. Yes,
literally
I feel that.
20 minutes.
But I think just like you said, it's letting go of the pressure to create the perfect holiday and then just but what is meaningful. And I think just that is what are some tips maybe for identifying, maybe even
Mhm.
ahead of time or prioritizing what are those things that really matter for me. So I think like your husband may have been trying to maybe he was trying to protect your peace or make it
Yeah,
easier
he
for
was.
you, but for you to look at it and say, okay, what is it that's truly important? And then what are the things that are okay with changing or letting go or taking some of that pressure off?
Mhm.
How do you think we
I
identify that?
So I recorded a podcast last year around this time, leading into the holidays, and I had asked all the kids what they got for Christmas last year. All of them. I think only one of the kids remembered everything, and I think it was Juliana, which she was 9 then, and Juliana is very quick with her brain power. But most of them could not remember. They could remember everything we did as a
Mm,
family,
uh-huh.
but they could not remember what they received. Now, I will say, to preface like your question about prioritizing and tips and tricks, I know that one of the first things we're all thinking about is gifts. That's just how we're conditioned. For me, it's a little bit different because I wasn't raised celebrating holidays. I don't know if you knew that about me, Tabitha. So
Mm-mm.
I was raised, my mom is Jehovah's Witness. I started celebrating holidays once I got married. And yes, I got married and I chose to go into the Catholic faith. and I got baptized and everything. So we basically run our household that way. But I do love holidays, and I especially love birthdays. Like my kids' birthdays are always like a big deal, even if we don't do a
Yeah.
party. So the way that I prioritize is different because since I wasn't, I think in a way it was good for me
Mhm.
per se, because I wasn't raised with this like commercial aspect of holidays
Right.
where all these gifts and there's so many gifts. I know some parents that they buy so many gifts that they forget even what they bought for their kids,
Yes.
right? Like it's so
Mhm.
many. So in regards to the gifts, one thing that we've been doing for years, and it works so well is something you want, something you need, something you wear, and something you read.
Something to read. Yeah.
And some of the items fall into two of those categories, and that's okay. And then I may get some bonus things, right? Santa gifts. And I know there's different opinions
Mhm.
about Santa out there. I like it because it's just so cute and fun and they have
Yeah.
something a little bit of magic. Come on.
Mhm.
Like let's just calm down a little bit. But the big gifts are not coming from Santa, girl. I mean for
Right? No, mom, dad work hard for those.
exactly.
Yes.
And then regarding all the other things, I would say I love making lists. I love making lists. And I just saw this lady who I was like, okay, this is my person on TikTok. Her background is she's a chef, like a professional chef. I think she even had a restaurant. She has this long list on her notes pad, which I have one, but it's not even as detailed. She went in, and I feel like all of us can do this. Make your list for everything. What do you need to do for Thanksgiving? What plates do you
Mhm.
need to bring out? Who are you inviting? You know, what is it that you need to buy for the table? All of these things. And the same thing, copy paste for your Christmas holiday.
Yeah.
If you celebrate, like for us, Christmas Eve is bigger than Christmas Day, and then New Year's and so on and so forth. But I think like focusing on more of memories and
Yeah.
your personal family traditions is the way to go. And as
Mhm.
someone with adult children, I can guarantee you, if you ask Brianna, who's 26, Tatiana, who's 23, William, who's 18, what did you get for Christmas when you were 6? They're not going to remember, but they're going to
Right.
remember, oh, that was the year that mom bought a real tree. Cause I usually alternate. One year I'll bring out a real tree and maybe the next year
Yeah.
but we've been doing a real tree like several years already because the kids love it. But they'll remember those little things. They do not remember what they
Mhm.
received as far as a physical gift.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. That's good. So I'm hearing you even talk about, for one, getting it out of your head and on paper or a notes app or
Yes, for
digital,
sure.
digital or paper is either way, but getting it out of your head and down
Yep.
takes that pressure off of, like, I think it does. We kind of carry it. It's that mental load we carry and then,
Let
wait,
it
what did I
go.
forget? I know there
Yep.
was something and I forgot it. So just getting it out is really big. And I think it also helps you remember more things. Okay, that means that also then this and then this. So it kind of just starts this rolling list, but it gets out of your head, which helps take the pressure to remember it off.
Yeah.
And then yeah, focus on the traditions, which I agree. I think that it really is what our kids remember. And even so, like I said, even this year, my daughter is coming home for Christmas, but she's not home for the whole season. But even the
Yeah.
other day, I talked to her on the phone, and she's like, "Are you getting pajamas?" So
Mhm.
something our family does is the beginning of December, they get a little gift, and they all know what it is, but they still get really excited about it, and it's Christmas pajamas.
I love it.
Sometimes it'll be like socks or slippers with it. Maybe it'll be a cup or a book. Maybe. We don't go crazy, but it's matching family pajamas. And she was like, "Am I still gonna get pajamas this
And
year
look,
when I get
she's
home?"
older now and she's out of the house and she's still looking forward to that
The
tradition from when she was
tradition.
little. Yes.
Yes. And that just made my heart happy, of course. And yes, she might not get it as early as everyone else. Although I'm legit thinking out loud now, maybe I should ship them to her, but
You
then
can.
I don't know. I don't know. We'll figure that part out. But just so everyone knows, yes, I already have the Christmas pajamas secured and we are ready to go for the whole
Yeah.
family. But that is our tradition and it's something that the kids know and they look forward to. And then it does. Like as a mama, it does something to your heart when, like you said, older now, out of the house. I'm wondering, does she care? Would she care? And that, yeah, she brought it up and asked about it and
Yeah.
does. So our kids really do notice, see, hold on to those traditions. So, yeah, I think in kind of identifying and prioritizing what it is that matters, just like you said, what are those traditions and those memorable moments with our family?
And those are gifts that you are giving your kids that are going to then be copy pasted onto their family.
Hmm.
So think
Hmm.
about the legacy that you're leaving in that sense. And keep in mind that a beautiful day, a beautiful dinner like Thanksgiving, you can do that on any day. So you can do that on the
Yeah.
day that she arrives. That's
Right.
something that also we forget. We have so much pressure of this day, but we can do that on another day. Maybe it doesn't work out. Maybe especially with dealing with different family members, because I see people all the time pulling their hair like, oh my God, my mom wants me here. My husband's family
Mm.
wants me there. Maybe meet in the middle, like you said, leading with grace and saying, hey, why don't we do Thanksgiving dinner at mom's on this day? And then we do individuals on the day of Thanksgiving. You can kind of like negotiate with everyone to make sure everyone's needs are met. The whole point is everybody
Yes.
wants to be together in some
Hmm.
capacity. We can do it
Hmm.
multiple times.
Right.
A pro tip that I will say, Tabitha, that I think a lot of people forget during this time is start thinking ahead of all these little events that we have going on that will overwhelm us and like sneak up on us. So, like, I know there's a lot of recitals around this time. There's a lot of events at the kids' school around this time that sometimes
Hmm.
we have to pre-plan, pre-buy things. So look at the grand scheme of things, write that down, let that go, like you said, unload the mental part
Yes.
and be a little bit a step ahead. So that way you're a little bit more relaxed. Cause I'm already on
Yes.
holiday mode. Once we step into the last piece of November, I'm in holiday
Mhm.
mode and I want to play Christmas music every day, all day.
Yes, I'm with you. We've already been playing the music, all,
Same.
all of the things. Well, I think
Same.
pre-planning is super important. And actually, even mention it here. So we put together a holiday reset guide, which is
Excellent.
my goal for this holiday season is really just moving forward through it with peace and with purpose, which really speaks to that prioritizing what it is for the family, like what matters, what moments matter, what traditions matter, what things. And so it's just a simple guide that we have a download available. So that will be linked right below in the show notes. And you can also find it on my blog. My website is freshmommyblog.com or on radiantwomanhood.com. So there's lots of ways to find it. But really, it just helps move through the season, like I said, with peace and with purpose. It helps you set some of your own goals, like what are the things that are important to me? It helps you ask those questions. It even gives some examples of ways to take that pause, like Yamel was talking about, and say no gracefully. Or, like you said, bring up some other options. So, we even have a few examples in there that you can work from and use for yourself, for your family to make the season flow for you. And so we just want to make that available because I feel like I've gone through this season both overwhelmed at times and also both peaceful. And obviously, of course, we all prefer the more peaceful ones. But then, kind of looking back, it's okay, but what did I do that was different
Yeah.
from the times that I was overwhelmed to the times that I really enjoyed it? Or we came out of something, it was like, well, that was really fun. I loved that,
Yeah.
you know? And so, kind of looking back at it that way, what were the things that aligned right for it to be a peaceful season? And I had even talked about this on a recent podcast about there were a couple of years like so something that I like doing is the photo family Christmas card. Not
Yes.
that that's something that my kids don't necessarily love that, or it's not really on anyone else. It's on myself. I just like it. I like receiving them. I like sending them. I like having them as like from all the years to kind of look back on. But
Mhm.
there were a couple of years, and especially when the twins were a lot younger, where it was just a thing that I felt pressure to do. Like, this is
Yeah.
something I have to do because it's what we do during this time of the year. And then it was kind of like, well, why? Who else is expecting that except for you? You know what I mean? Who's putting the pressure on except for you? And realize that it was just something that yes, I loved it and I still love it, but I was the one that was putting pressure on myself. And there were a couple of years that I didn't do it just because it was something I needed to release in that season, and then had to give myself with grace with being okay with it.
Yeah.
And I was, but just as a little example, it's not even something I don't feel like is necessarily this big, huge thing or this big, huge, important thing. But for me, I was making it a big thing, which made it feel overwhelming.
Yeah.
And
I
so I
think
think
that
just kind
that's
of
really
narrowing it down to like what's important in my family right now, that's what we're going to focus on.
and it's okay if this year we can't. I've had those years as well. I love the family pictures, by the way, and I love receiving. One of my favorite parts of this season is getting cards from
Mhm.
people. And I love that even clients send me cards and I get to see their kiddos. But I think we also need to remind ourselves that it's okay if certain things don't get done. It's okay if the tablescape is not perfect. It's okay if
Right.
I've had some years that the tree is not trimmed, and
Yes.
that's okay. I give
That's
myself
okay.
permission. It is okay. I do not subscribe to comparison. Comparison is a thief
Mhm.
of joy. I don't subscribe to that. I do admire. I might look at Tabitha's page and see, her living room beautiful and everything perfect. And I might look at it with like, oh my God, that's beautiful. But I refuse to allow myself to go deep into, man, Tabitha's living room looks perfect and mine still has Thanksgiving stuff in it. You know,
Mm.
don't
Mhm.
do that because
Mhm.
that's not what your kids are remembering.
Right.
Trust me, as a seasoned
Right.
mom, that's not what they're remembering. Think of yourself as a kid too. I think we need to do a
Yeah.
little bit of that type of exercise. Think back of yourself as a child. What is a memory during the holidays that sticks out to you? I can almost guarantee you it's probably not a gift or a perfect dinner or perfect decoration. It's something that you did that was a happy moment with like your parents or a family member or your
Mhm.
siblings. My kids have a lot of like private little memories. Now
Mm.
they're older, which is so cool. They give each other their wish lists, which I think is just so
That's
awesome.
fun. You're right.
Yeah. So I think we need to lean more into that where it's releasing the pressure of perfection,
Mhm.
just doing it,
Yeah.
just doing.
Just doing. I like that. Yes. Well, I think really it's that the pressure of trying to do all of the things is
Well,
what makes it feel stressful and overwhelming, and releasing ourselves from that. And I also think that, yeah, like why have we taken away the magic for ourselves from the season? And what are the things that light you up and bring joy? And do those and share those with your family. And I think that's super important. Are there any things that your family has, like traditions or activities that you have that kind of bring that joy, but without adding a lot of stress? Like, I have to do all of this, but just something that your family does.
something super simple is we absolutely love watching the same Christmas movies all the time. And the top one, which we watched it way too early, Marley and I wanted to watch it. That's my 8-year-old. And that's the baby. So we cuddled in bed. And probably the favorite one for me, which has been the favorite one for years, is The Family Stone. I don't know if you've
Mm,
watched it.
yes.
They have a big family. And it'll bring me to tears just thinking about it right now because I think what I love about that movie is all the kids come back home. It's
Yes.
chaotic. It's chaotic. If you watch the movie, it's chaotic. There's drama. There's a little bit of drama. They're arguing a little bit. Of course, they make up. But it's just like, it is so heartwarming for me to see a big family like that where they are, they have spouses and grandkids
Mhm.
and all that, because of course I see myself there. I see
Yeah.
my future.
Yes.
So that's a simple thing. We always watch Christmas movies and, of course, playing Christmas music, making special desserts. Like for Thanksgiving specifically, I always like to ask each kid, like, what do you want me to make?
Mm,
And I make whatever they want. whether that is like a mac and cheese recipe that I've made, or Brianna loves this pie, which I will tell you is the thorn in my behind because it is so tedious. It's a snickerdoodle pie. It's so tedious. It has so many ingredients and she loves this pie. So I will like take some breaks from making it. So I think this year I need to make that. So little things like that is what we love.
That's funny. I love that there's a recipe that's like, but the crazy part is she's going to just always remember that. And then later
Always.
on, probably with her kids, she's going to be like, this is my mom's recipe. Like you're just going
Yep.
to pass it down. And that tradition is going to
She's
continue
probably
on.
the only one that eats that pie. I will tell you. I'm like, girl, okay. But yeah, so little things like that I think are really important to me. But I do love, and I hope that everyone takes the time to appreciate that the season also gives us a little bit of time to slow down. We have
Mhm.
days off from work, kids have days off from school, and like take advantage of that as well. Don't just focus on the rush, rush, rush part.
Yeah, that's really good. I think we've kind of been practicing. Actually, it began like over the summer. Well, began right before my daughter left. So she left this last summer for boot camp. And so right before she left, we kind of started taking our Friday evenings. And, she was a little bit older. So sometimes she would go out with friends after, but we still had our family time. But we had like these Friday evenings where we would either make pizza or order pizza or take out. And it was just like phones down. We'll pick a family movie together and we just
Mhm.
all cuddled around. Sometimes we would bring in like a blow up mattress or like those fold out
I love
like
it.
the nugget couch things,
Yes.
make like this. The living room would just be, and I would also, I'm similar to you where the tidiness, like I like things
Oh,
to be very tidy,
it
but I
is
would
the
just have
is
to
the
let all of
thing.
that go because the whole entire living room would be destroyed. Like there would be popcorn everywhere. We would get candy. Sometimes I would make a special treat but it was just a couple hours of our family snuggled up together and it was so good. And we just kind of started that where it's just continued.
I love
And just the last couple of weeks, like we've had things on Friday evenings where we haven't been able to do it and we're all missing it. Like we're
I
all kind
mean,
of craving just that simple family time where it's not a lot more pressure, not a lot more expense, but just all plopped down with pillows and blankets together, snacking on whatever we can snack on or ordering a pizza and enjoying that time together. And I think that's been good practice for us leading up to the holidays of just taking that breath and that moment and that pause together to say, okay, let's just come together and be. And we
yeah,
do love going through Christmas movies too. So we're kind of starting into that a little bit, but really just putting the phones down and not focusing on all the other things because I can tend to think, okay, there's something on social media I forgot to do. I need to go do that. Or while we're all here, I'm sitting still. Let me answer a couple of emails real quick. Or there's this thing I forgot to finish up.
oh,
But
yeah.
as like the matriarch, the mom of the family, it's an example to be like, I'm going to be present and put the other things down. And our kids respond to that. And then they start doing the same things. Like they
Yeah.
respond in kind of, yeah, I just want to spend time together too.
Yeah, it's very much modeling. And
Mhm.
I think that a lot of times we focus a lot on what's going on in the world, whether that is you're focused on like, oh my God, there's the holiday sales, or
Mm.
I have to, take part, like it's this thing and, everything going on in the world right now. But we have to remember, like, to our kids, we are their world.
Yes. Yes.
We are their world. So our little world can be very happy and joyful. And we can have still these memories, even with a whole bunch of things going on around us. Or,
Right.
maybe you may be thinking, well, I can't buy all of these presents this year like I did last year. That is okay too. That
Right.
is okay too. I'm sure that you can get creative. That is the beauty of now having social media at our fingertips. We can
Mhm.
find ideas and, get tips from other moms, but don't allow what you feel that you may be lacking to hinder your
Yeah.
experience with your family, with your
That's
kids.
good because our kids really respond to where we're at. I think sometimes we care more about some of those things than they do. And they respond to
Yep.
our presence, like being present with them.
Yep. They
Yeah.
sure do.
I think it's so good. Well, I'm excited for this holiday season. I know, like I said, my goal is moving into it peacefully this year with purpose, enjoying those moments with my family. And I'm really excited that you were here chatting with us about it, sharing your wisdom. And again, want to remind that we have that holiday reset guide. That's a download that just will help us all walk through it. So it's not to add more pressure, but to help
No,
be a guide to take some of that pressure off. And so
definitely.
I want to remind the listeners to go download that. And also, I'm going to share Yamel's links also so that we can chat with her on her social media as well. Find her on her podcast, The Motherhood Kit. So those are all going to be linked below. But Yamel, I'm so excited that you're here. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Have a good holiday season.
Thank you, Tabitha. Bye.
Remember, the holidays don't have to be about doing more. They're about doing what matters most to you and for everyone that could look a little different. This year, let's give ourselves permission to celebrate in ways that align with our hearts and our families, not just someone else's expectations. And if you loved this conversation today, you don't want to miss the episode that I just recorded with Yamel on her podcast, The Motherhood Kit. We talked all about revisiting your vision board and reinventing yourself, ending the year with purpose. And it is packed with inspiration and actionable steps to help you finish the year strong. So go check it out. I'm going to link to her podcast in the show notes. As well, I am linking to our holiday reset guide. Don't miss it. We will link that in the show notes. It is a free download for you to finish out or to move through this season ahead, this holiday season, with peace and with joy and with purpose. And I would love if you would just share one of the boundaries maybe that you're setting this year, or one tradition that you're simplifying on your social media, and tag me in it or in the comments. But let me know what that is that maybe you have decided to set because of listening to this episode today. I want to thank you for listening to Radiant Womanhood. And if you have found valuable in this episode, share it with a friend. Leave a review. Let us know what you think. And until next time, let's continue to live boldly and radiantly.